Hai, Assalamualaikum dan apa khabar semua? Cikgu harap semua sihat. Hari ini kita akan sambung pelajaran yang lepas iaitu Elektronik Cathode Ray Oscilloscope bahagian kedua. Pelajaran ini akan disampaikan dalam bahasa Inggeris. So, are you ready to learn? Let's learn with me, Cikgu Hasnita. Hello again. This is Physics Form 5 KBSM, Electronics Cathode Ray Oscilloscope Part 2 with me, Cikgu Hasnita. If you follow my first lesson on cathode ray oscilloscope as shown in this video, this is the knowledge which you should already have. What is cathode ray oscilloscope? The uses of cathode ray oscilloscope, the working principle of cathode ray oscilloscope, and also the properties of the cathode ray. But if you miss this lesson, don't worry, you can follow my video by click on the link below or just search from the YouTube for my channel, Cikgu Hasnita. Okay? So what's to learn today? Before we go to today's lesson, I shared this table with you. It shows the factors that influence the rate of thermionic emission, which I missed to share with you earlier, so I share to you now. There are three factors affect the rate of thermionic emission. The first factor is the temperature of the cathode. As the temperature increases, the rate of thermionic emission increases. It means that if you supply a higher voltage to the cathode will be heated up at a higher temperature. So, more number of electrons will be emitted at a time, which increase the rate of emission. Okay? Factor number 2 is the surface area of the cathode. As the surface area increases, which means we use a larger area or larger cathode, the rate of thermionic emission increases. Okay. Factor number 3 is the potential difference between the anode and the cathode. As the potential difference increases, the rate of thermionic emission is unchanged, but the acceleration of the electron beam increases, which means that when the potential difference between the anode and the cathode is higher, the electron beam will move at a higher speed towards the screen. Okay, so I hope that's clear to you. So what to learn today? This is our point of discussion in this lesson. Number 1, we are going to discuss the structure of the cathode ray tube CRT. Second, how to measure AC and DC voltage. Number 3, how to measure time interval. And last but not least, to know what energy changes occur in the cathode ray tube and how to find them. So, are you ready to begin? But unfortunately, Susan was not able to join us today, but I hope you will enjoy the lesson and follow me till the end. Okay? So let's go to the first part of today's lesson, structure of cathode ray tube CRT. So this is how the cathode ray oscilloscope appears from the outside, and this is how the cathode ray tube looks from the inside. The cathode ray tube is a vacuum tube, consists of 3 major parts. So what are those parts and what are the functions for each? So let's go and find them. Okay, so the first part of the cathode ray tube is called as an electron gun. This electron gun is used to produce a narrow beam of electrons. And the electron gun consists of 5 small components. So what are those components? First is the filament. Okay, you can see the filament is here. So the filament is used to heat up the cathode when a current flows through it. Okay, and then the cathode will emit electron from the process of thermionic emission once it is heated at high temperature. Then comes the control grid which lies in front of the cathode. This control grid is used to control the number of electrons emitted from the cathode. And the more negative the grid is, the less electron will be emitted from the electron gun, which means the brightness of the bright spot appear on the screen will be less. Okay, then the focusing anode. This focusing anode is used to focus the electron into a beam and to attract electrons from the area of the control grid. So the electron that emitted from the cathode will be assembled in a straight line by defocusing anode. Okay? And the fifth component is called the accelerating anode. Okay, this accelerating anode is used to accelerate the electron beam towards the screen. So the electron beam will move at a higher speed towards the screen. Okay. The second part of the cathode ray tube is called as the deflection system. This deflection system works to allow the electron beam to be deflected from its straight line path when it leaves the electron gun. The deflection system consists of two plates. First is the Y plates. This plate is used to move or to deflect the electron beam vertically up and down the screen when an input voltage applied across it. While the X plate is used to sweep the electron beam across the screen horizontally at a steady speed. To understand how this deflection occurs, let's take a look at these four diagrams as our references. The first diagram, it says that there is no input voltage applied to the Y plate. So let's take a look at this short animation. You can see that the electron beam or the cathode ray continuously moving in a straight line, and it will form a bright spot at the center of the screen as stated here. Second diagram, now we apply a positive voltage to the top plate of the Y plate. So what happened? The electron beam, which is a negatively charged particle, pass through the Y plate, so it will be attracted or deflected upwards. So a bright spot is now shift to the top of the screen. Okay? In diagram 3, now we apply a negative voltage to the top plate of the Y plate. Again, the electron beam move towards the plate. So now it will be deflected away from the negative top plate. So you will see that a bright spot is now shifted to the bottom of the screen. Okay, and in diagram 4, what happened if now we connect an AC voltage to the Y plate? You know that an AC voltage changing direction alternatingly. So the electron beam will be deflected up and down. So now a bright spot appears as a bright traces on the screen. Okay, a bright vertical traces on the screen. So this deflection on the Y plate will be the same as the deflection on the X plate. Okay, for example, in diagram number 2, what happened when we connect a positive voltage to the right side of the X plate? The X plate is placed horizontally while the Y plate is placed vertically. So connect a positive voltage to the right plates of the X plate. The electron beam will be deflected or shifted to the right. So you will see a bright spot appear at the right side of the screen. Okay, and in diagram number 3, what happened now if we connect a positive voltage to the left side of the X plate? The electron beam will now deflected to the left side, so a bright spot will be appear at the left side of the screen. And the same thing when we apply an AC voltage to the X plate. So now the electron beam will be deflected horizontally to the left and right. So a horizontal bright traces will be appear on the screen. Okay, so I hope with that you are clear how the deflection system works. So now let's go to the third part of the cathode ray tube. It is called as the fluorescent screen. So this fluorescent screen is used to display the waveform as you can see in this diagram. Okay, this is the signal or the waveform appear on the screen of the CRO. So what are these fluorescent screen made of? The fluorescent screen is coated on its inside surface with some fluorescent material such as phosphor or zinc sulfide. So whenever an electron beam falls on this surface, the phosphor or the zinc sulfide will be glow. Okay, so this will enable a bright spot or a bright traces appear on the screen. And you all know that the electron beam or the cathode ray moving at a high speed, so they have a kinetic energy. So when they hit the screen, this kinetic energy converts into light energy. Okay. And now let's take a look at the control knob of the CRO and its function. I hope you already understand the parts and the function of the cathode ray tube, which consists of the electron gun, the deflection system, and the fluorescent screen. Okay, so this is the front look of the CRO. You can see there's a lot of control knobs there. So what are those control knobs and what are the functions for each? So it is explained in this table. So first we have the power switch, the on-off button. So it is used to control the power supply, to on or to off the power supply. Second is the focus knob. This focus knob used to control the sharpness of the bright spot, in which it is connected to the focusing anode. Okay. Then comes the brightness knob. It is to control the brightness or the intensity of the bright spot appear on the screen, in which it is connected to the control grid. And comes the X shift. Okay, the X shift is here. It is used to adjust the horizontal position of the bright spot on the screen and connected to the X plate. Okay, next is the Y shift. Okay, this Y shift is used to adjust the vertical position of the bright spot and connected to the Y plates. Then comes the Y gain. The Y gain is used to control the magnitude of the vertical deflection of the bright spot by adjusting its amplitude. And this Y gain is connected to the Y plates. Okay, later we will see how the setting on the Y gain is used to determine the voltage supply to the cathode ray oscilloscope. Okay, while the time base is used to control the magnitude of the horizontal deflection by adjusting the frequency, and this time base is connected to the X plate. So later, this time base, the setting on the time base can be used to determine the period, the frequency appear or the traces or the signal appear on the screen. Okay, and then we have the X input and the Y input, in which they are a terminal connect to the voltage to the X plate and to the Y plates. Okay, and we have AC and DC switch. Okay, this switch is used to select what type of input received, what type of input connect to the device. So when the switch is DC position, AC and DC voltage will be displayed. And when the switch is at AC position, only the AC voltage will be displayed on the screen. Okay, any signal of the DC voltage will be blocked by a capacitor in the CRO. Okay, and then the last knob is called as the earth. Okay, this works to disconnect the input voltage at the Y plate and the earth, the input terminal. Okay, now let's take a look at this diagram. It shows how the CRO is used to display a waveform and how to measure an AC or DC voltage connected to it. Okay, this is the table given as our references. Okay, the first column, this is the type of power supply connect to the Y input of the CRO. The second column tells when the time base is switched off. Remember the time base? Time base is used to control the magnitude of the deflection on the X plate. Okay, and the third column shows when the time base is switched on. So case number 1, when there is no voltage connected to the Y input. So what happened? It shows no deflection. So a bright spot appear at the center of the screen. And then if you look at this table, and now the time base is switched on. So the bright spot will be sweep horizontally to the left and right. So a bright traces appear. Okay. Second case, now we supply a DC voltage to the Y input. You can see the bright spot shifted upwards. So what does it mean? Yes, the top plate of the Y plate is now connected with the positive terminal of the voltage. So that's why the electron beam or the cathode ray shifted upwards. Okay, and here is when the time base is switched on. So the bright spot sweep horizontally, forming a bright horizontal trace. Okay? And the third case, when we apply an AC voltage to the Y input. Okay, so this is the condition when the time base is switched off. So the cathode ray deflected up and down. And when we switch on the time base, it will be swept horizontally, forming a sinusoidal signal or sinusoidal wave on the screen. Okay, now let us see how to measure a DC or AC voltage using a CRO. Okay, in order to measure a voltage on a CRO using a CRO, this is the formula which we can apply. First, how to measure a DC voltage. So the unknown voltage can be determined by multiply those setting on the Y gain with H. H is the displacement from the zero position. Okay. And to measure AC voltage, first we can find the peak-to-peak voltage. So peak-to-peak voltage is given by VPP. So how to find it? Setting on the Y gain, multiply with the H. H here for AC voltage refers to the displacement between the low voltage to the high voltage. Okay? And to find the peak voltage is half of the peak-to-peak voltage. Okay? And third, we can find the effective voltage or root mean square voltage given by VRMS, which is equal to peak voltage divided by square root of 2. So what is an effective voltage? Effective voltage refers to the amount of potential difference or the AC voltage in which supply the same heating effect with the equivalent DC voltage. Okay, and below here is how to measure short time interval. So we can find short time interval by multiplying the number of division between the two pulses with the time base value. Okay, so let's take a look at this example. What is the value of the DC voltage in figure A and figure B if the Y gain control is set at 1 volt per division? Okay, so how to find the voltage? It is given by V, the unknown voltage, setting on the Y gain, which is 1 volt per division, multiply with the displacement from the zero position. Okay, so this is the zero position. So you can see the spot has been shifted 4 division upwards. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Same goes to B. Okay, this is what happened when the time base is on. So the displacement from the zero position is 4 division, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the voltage is 4 volt. Okay, next question. Refers to figure 9.6. If you look at this figure, what do you understand? Okay, the CRO is connected with an AC voltage in which the time base is switched on. Okay, so what do we have here? The figure shows a trace on a CRO set at 5 volt per division on the vertical axis. So this is the setting on the Y gain. So the question asks to find what is the maximum voltage indicated. So the maximum voltage refers to the peak voltage. So how to find the peak voltage for AC? So it is given by the setting on the Y gain multiply with half H. H, remember H is the displacement from the low peak to the high peak. Or we can say a displacement from the trough to the crest of the wave. Okay, so the peak voltage is 5, setting on the Y gain, multiplied by half, multiplied by 4 division. See, from the low to the high peak, it requires 4 division. Okay, so the peak voltage is equal to 10 volt. And now next example refers to figure 9.8. So the diagram shows the trace on the screen of a CRO when an AC voltage is connected to the Y input. Okay, the Y gain control is set at 2 volt per division and the time base is switched off. So this is the trace appear on the screen of the CRO when AC voltage connected and the time base is switched off. First, find the peak-to-peak voltage. So how to find the peak-to-peak voltage? This is a setting on the Y gain multiplied with the H displacement from the low to the high peak, which is 6 division. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 division multiply with the setting on the Y gain, so the peak-to-peak voltage is 12 volt. Second, the peak voltage. So peak voltage VP is half of the peak-to-peak voltage. So half multiplied by 12 will give us 6 voltage. And C, the root mean square voltage. So this is the formula to find the root mean square voltage or the effective voltage, where it is equal to VP divided by square root of 2. So VP is 6, the peak voltage, divide by square root of 2. So the root mean square voltage is equal to 4.24 volt. Okay. Next, let's take a look at this question on how to find a time interval. Okay. This question is referred to figure 9.9. You can see when a microphone is connected to the CRO and a person is making 2 claps in front of the microphone, the signal of the 2 claps appear on the screen. So the first peak shows the first clap and the second peak shows the second clap. And the displacement between these 2 claps is given 5 division. Okay. And here, if you can see, the setting on the time base is 10 millisecond per division. So find or measure the time lapse between the 2 claps. The time lapse refers to the time interval. So how to find time interval? So the displacement between the 2 pulses or the 2 claps is 5. Multiply with the setting on the time base, which is 10 millisecond per division. So this will give us the time lapse of 50 millisecond. So 50 millisecond in second is written as 0.05 second. So these are the time interval or the time lapse in between the 2 claps. And next, let's take a look at example 1. Related to diagram 1, it shows a trace produced by an AC power supply which is connected to Y input of a CRO setting on 20 volt per division. So this is the setting on the Y gain, and 5 millisecond per division, this is the setting on the time base. Yes. So first, find the period. So how to find the period? So what is a period? Period means a time taken to produce one complete wave. So these 2 points are considered as one complete wave. So how to find the period? And it looks like the displacement between these 2 points is 14 division. So by this, we can find the period. So 14 division multiply with the setting on the time base. So the period is 70 millisecond. Okay, and B, find the frequency. Frequency is given by 1 divided by period. Okay, frequency is the reciprocal of the period. So 1 divided by period. Period is 70 millisecond. Remember to write, in order to find frequency, the period must be stated in second. So 70 millisecond in second is equal to 70 times 10 to the power of negative 3. Okay, so the frequency is 14.286 Hertz. And C, find the peak voltage. So how to find the peak voltage? The setting on the Y gain given 20 division multiply with half of the displacement from the low peak to the high peak, which is 8 division. Okay, so the peak voltage is equal to 80 volt. So it seems that we have come to the final part of today's lesson, energy changes in a cathode ray tube. So to understand what kind of energy changes occur inside the cathode ray tube, let's take a look at this diagram. Okay? When the electron beam or the cathode ray emit from the cathode, they travel at a very high speed, which means they are having kinetic energy. And the moment they hit the screen, this kinetic energy convert into light energy, or in this case, it is called as an electrical potential energy. Okay? And from the principle of conservation of energy, we understand that the kinetic energy, half mv squared, equal to the electrical potential energy, EV. So what is this formula refers to? This V refers to the velocity of the electron, and the capital V is referred to the potential difference between the anode and the cathode. So this is the potential difference between the anode and the cathode. And E is the charge on one electron, which is equal to 1.6 times 10 to the power of negative 19 coulomb, while M is the mass of one electron, which is 9 times 10 to the power of negative 31 kilogram. And when we rearrange this equation, we can find the maximum velocity of the electron, which is given by V equal to 2eV divided by M square root. Okay, V equal to square root of 2eV divided by M. So let's take a look at how to apply this equation. Okay, let's take a look at example number 1. In a cathode ray tube, an electron with kinetic energy of 1.32 times 10 to the power of negative 14 joule is accelerated. Calculate the potential difference V between the cathode and the accelerating anode. So this is the amount of kinetic energy given, so we have to find V, okay, the potential difference when given E, 1.6 times 10 to the power of negative 19 coulomb. So how to solve this? So first, this is the energy conversion that occur. Kinetic energy, half mv squared, equal to electrical potential energy, EV. So the kinetic energy is given as 1.32 times 10 to the power of negative 14. So we write it here, equal to EV, where E is 1.6 times 10 to the power of negative 19 coulomb. So now we can find V, the potential difference, okay, in which it is equal to 8.25 times 10 to the power of 4 volt. Alright, next question. In a vacuum tube, a cathode ray is produced and accelerated through a potential difference of 2.5 kilovolt. Calculate A, the initial electrical potential energy of the cathode ray, and B, the maximum velocity of the electron when you are given with E and M in the bracket. So how to find the initial electrical potential energy, which means we are finding EV. Okay, so E is given 1.6 times 10 to the power of 19, and V is given as 2.5 kilovolt. Okay, so the electrical potential energy is 4 times 10 to the power of negative 16 joule. And to find the maximum velocity, it is given by half mv squared equal to EV. Okay, we have find the value in A, 4 times 10 to the power of negative 19. So by this, we can find V by shifting M to the other side. So V is 8.89 to the power of negative 14. This is V squared. So to find V, we square root this answer. So V is equal to 2.98 multiplied by 10 to the power of 7 meter per second. Okay, and the third example, if the potential difference between the cathode and the anode is given 3.5 kilovolt, calculate the maximum speed of the electron which hit the screen of the CRO. You are given with E and M in the bracket. So how to find the speed or the maximum speed, which is V? Again, this is the conversion of energy occur, kinetic energy, equal to electrical potential energy. So EV is 1.6 times 10 to the power of negative 19 multiplied with the potential difference 3.5 times 10 to the power of 3. Okay, so this will give us a kinetic energy of 5.6 times 10 to the power of negative 16 joule. So using this, we can find the velocity where V squared is EV divided by M. So M shifted to this side, divide by M multiplied by 2. So 2 shifted to the other side. So the value for the V squared is 1.24 times 10 to the power of 15. And to find V, so we find the square root of V squared. So the velocity will be 3.53 multiplied by 10 to the power of 7 meter per second. So I guess before we say goodbye, let's do the checklist on what are those things you should achieve after following this lesson. Number 1, you should know the structure of the cathode ray tube and the function for each. Number 2, you should know how to calculate the unknown voltage for input DC voltage and the peak voltage, peak-to-peak voltage, and root mean square voltage for input AC voltage. Number 3, how to calculate the time interval. And number 4, how to find the period and frequency for an input AC voltage. And last but not least, how to write the conservation of energy in the cathode ray tube and to solve problems related to the energy changes. Hello again. So what do you think of today's lesson? Do you enjoy them? So I hope you get all the point which I have delivered and join me again for more physics updates soon. Till then, thank you for watching and have a great day.